Would you say that graphology, in your estimation, Professor, has any basis in science whatsoever?
No, I would say it hasn't. I would say it's not able to have been replicated. It's ambiguous. Its tests have not been confirmed. It's a pseudo-science, really.
You had a comment, John?
I'd just say that handwriting analysis has absolutely nothing to do with anything that is mystical. It has no spiritual dimension whatsoever. And in answer to the professor, I would say that a professional graphologist works on the basis of very, very accurate measurement and percentage assessments. The body of knowledge which has been brought together to constitute graphology has been built up over 60 years from close examination and from seeing a certain pattern of psychology appearing with a certain pattern of writing. It is not a pseudoscience. It has no mystical element whatsoever. It's a subject very much like Russian or engineering. It's a subject that can be learned.
I would say that astrology has a history rather longer, several thousand years, and it's still non-scientific.
No, this has nothing to do with astrology.
Gentlemen, I really have to tie it up now. Ladies and gentlemen, and in the front row, particularly our celebrities and all the rest of you, I want to thank you very much for coming along here this evening. Well, this obviously is a contentious issue. Is this another example of people unsure of their decisions, looking to share the responsibility with some other person? Would you be happy if an employer decided your future on the basis of the way you wrote? And if they did, would they tell you? Now, do you think the person in this photo is living or dead? Our last guest tonight believes that by looking at a photograph, she can tell us something about the person in that photo, including whether or not that person is alive or dead. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome Agnes Freeman. Agnes, earlier in the day we gave you 5 photographs. They're smaller versions of the ones we now have behind us. Choosing the photograph was a difficult task. We tried to ensure that as few clues as possible remain. Surroundings, clothing, hairstyle may all give a clue as to the age of a photograph. And thus, the likelihood as to whether or not the person is living or dead might be given away. I believe you used a pendulum to divine whether or not each person is living or dead?
Correct, yes.
Now, how does that work?
If the person is alive, the pendulum is turning usually right. If the person is dead, either it's not turning at all, or I don't get any kind of reading on the person.
So it's whether or not
on the aura.
I see. Now, Agnes has told us that if she is successful tonight, she would like to go on to a second test, independently supervised, to claim the $10,000 that I have offered for many years to anyone who can produce psychic phenomena under controlled conditions. Is that right, Agnes?
That's right.
All right. Well, first things first. Let's see how well you'll do with just 5 photographs. Now, there are tough odds against getting all 5 correct. This first photograph, what do you make of this lady?
What I made out of this lady is, I got the name, she's alive.
Yes.
And her name is Sandra, or somebody who belongs to her. The name is Sandra, and a lot of sadness in the past.
Alive or dead now?
She's alive.
She is alive. All right, we'll put a tick on that one to indicate that this is a living lady. I hope you're correct. Now, on number 2 here, we have a young gentleman of unknown profession. What would you tell us about him?
Well, he's very much alive, and what I got with him is, around him, I also get the feeling of teaching on the Irish connection, and I see him also got something to do with the Swiss Alps, either yet or going to there in the near future.
So this gentleman is alive, then, in
This
your
gentleman is
estimation.
alive.
All right, we'll stick a tick right up there on his eye. So we'll remember. And number 3, this rather exotic-looking gentleman with a little goatee. What do you say about him?
What I got with him is very much alive, and he's a born mystic, psychic, artistic, musical, whatever you can think of. He got everything, about everything.
So you say that he's alive as well?
He's alive.
And so he gets the red tick. And moving on to this more elderly gentleman?
The elderly gentleman is alive as well.
He is?
Yes. What I pick up with him is the eyes.
So he is alive.
He's
but
alive.
He has problems with the eyes. Very well. And he gets the red tick as well. So thank you very much, Agnes. Now for number 5. What do you say about this gentleman?
This gentleman is not alive. I got any kind of readings on him. And also I felt the photographs very cold. Also I get some effect with him in the past. Whatever I got in the reading, what I have time for, is all in the past, not in the present.
I see. Well, thank you very much, Agnes. Would you join me over here, please? Let's just review your psychic decision of the condition of each person shown. You said number 1 is alive, number 2 is alive, number 3 is alive, number 4 is alive, and number 5 is dead. Let's see who's really still alive. All of them, except number 2. So you got 3 correct and 2 wrong. I'm sorry, Agnes. I know that's not what you had hoped for. Nevertheless, you did come along to participate, and I think you deserve a big thank you. In the case of the psychometry test tonight, in which keys and wristwatches were matched up, as well as in the matching of handwriting to professions by means of graphology, we expected one match would be made if chance alone were operating. The living or dead test with photographs, which you have just seen, called for 2 or 3 to be correct by chance alone. In all 3 cases, our guests have scored just what chance would call for, so that in our admittedly small number of trials, none of the special skills or powers seem to have been demonstrated. The question remains, do these abilities really exist? Ladies and gentlemen, we give you the evidence. You make up your own minds. I'm James Randi. Good night.
That was the last in the present series of James Randi Investigates.